What up, what up? Man, as you can clearly see, today hasn't been one of my better days, but MMA of course goes on. And there's been some things on my mind that I'd like to talk about a little bit. Um, Now, this past year, now I've always been a big fan of the UFC, always been a big supporter of Dana White. Um, I understand that he's a very controversial figure, he says a lot of crazy things. But for the most part, I didn't have a problem with it because, for the most part, he delivers. Did I say come to me? Yes. Why? Because I deliver. Why? I'm your man. How do I know? How? No. Know how. Sorry. Anyway, that's basically what happened. Regardless of his attitude, he got the job done. And that's all I care about. I don't care about Boy Scouts. I don't care about the image of this. I don't have any long-term visions. Entertain me. Bring it. And Dana White, for the most part, has brought it. However, in the last half of the year, and coming in right now, due to circumstances that are not totally his fault, he hasn't been delivering. I didn't get that Anderson Silva Vitor Belfort fight. I didn't get that Rampage Rashad fight. I didn't get that Dan Henderson versus Nate Marquardt fight. And that's not all his fault. But you're the man in charge, and one way or another, I want it delivered. You're not doing it. And that's what we're getting down to. Now let's get down to the Rampage thing. Now, I don't think he treated Rampage any differently than he did some people. I don't think he probably treated him a little bit better than John Fitch, but let's be honest here. I don't care if John Fitch turns blue, drops dead, whatever. In fact, it'll probably be more exciting if he does that. As good a fighter as he is, I don't have any interest of ever watching him fight. So, I didn't have a problem when he got cut. Didn't have a problem when he was on the undercard. I did have a problem when I did have to watch his fights. I didn't like that at all. So let's not get into a John Fitch rant like that, but Rampage or something. Like I said, that's my favorite fighter. That's the big draw for me. That's the fight I want to see. But unfortunately, Rampage decided that he'd rather, go do the A-Team movie than, do the fight that he was contracted for against Rashad Evans. Now, I don't have a problem with the A-Team movie. I'm a big A-Team fan. I love that shit when I was 4. I pity the fool that turns down the A-Team movie. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure that was a big opportunity for him. And Dana White, he kind of went postal about it. And he turned, something in, a little something, maybe a postponed fight, maybe a fight that would have trouble getting through, maybe a fight that would, a possible fight, into a really bad situation where Rampage is no longer interested in fighting. And I believe that this could have been resolved had he been pulled off the asshole, if he would have eased the asshole throttle a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, Rampage, I think he should have just did the fight, but hey, thinking about it, this also comes down to the fighter pay thing. I don't know how much they make. You don't know how much they make. Nobody knows how much they make. However, I do know they could make a little bit more because Tom Brady is not going to miss the Super Bowl so he can so he can film a movie. No other sport is this a problem where, or at least I've noticed. I think maybe Jim Brown a while ago or something. But that was a money issue. Dana White keeps talking about making this sport so big. However, in order for this sport to be big, the guys got to get paid big. Not enough, not good, not decent, not fair. They got to get paid good. So this stuff doesn't happen. It's like saying that, like I said, Rampage or something. I mean, what other top professional athlete in the major sports in America is going to duck out on a major event in his sport so they can film a movie? Obviously, the movie's paying you more, and obviously you're not getting beat up as much. So it only makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Dana White needs to do. Is as good as he is, as much as he's done for the sport, as much as just growing, there's just too many things are going wrong right now, and that points to the boss. And same thing with Dan Henderson. I'm not as big a fan of Dan Henderson as I am of Rampage. I think he's a great fighter, and I think he belongs in the UFC. And now he's not in the UFC. I mean, I think Dana said something about him not being that big a draw or something to get the money that he wants. But I mean, whose fault is that? It's not Dan Henderson's fault. He's put on some good fights. I really enjoyed his fight with Rampage. He had a pretty good fight with Anderson Silva, even though, you know, it's a tale of two rounds. He had a good fight. You know, he put on some good fights in the UFC. Um, and look, Dana White marketed this guy. You can't say that, Dan Henderson came in there and delivered. In his last fight in the UFC, he knocked the dog shit out of my boy, Michael Bisping. He just stepped back, fired up the musket, and just bam, knocked his brains out. I mean, he knockout of the night. You paid him $100,000 for that. You know, and plus, before I start, just going way too off, let's look at the timeline of this. Dana White made Dan Henderson a coach on the Ultimate Fighter. You know, on his big marketing tool right there. He was the coach of the U.S. team against Michael Bisping. Of course, like I said, he showcased Dan Henderson for several weeks. He made Dan Henderson a cornerstone of his milestone event, milestone, however you want to say it, of his cornerstone event, UFC 100. You know, he made that a big fight. You know, on the card, he was, featured alongside George St. Pierre, Thiago Alves, Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir, Michael Bisping, of course. You know, it's like I said, you market this guy on your flagship show, on your flagship marketing tool, the Ultimate Fighter. You put his name up in lights in the biggest event of your company's history. And he delivers, out of all those fights, he delivers the best. And yet, you don't want to pay him? You say he was asking for too much? I'm not sure how much he was asking for. That's something we'll never know. But a hunch tells me he wasn't asking for that much, that you just couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? That this just couldn't be done, especially with all the crap you're saying publicly. Now, like I said, I've always liked Dana White. I've liked the smack talk. You know why I like smack talk? Because when you deliver, it's just some badass. You know what I'm saying? When you deliver, yes, talk smack. When you don't, you need to shut the fuck up. And that's what's happening right now. When you stop delivering and keep talking, that gets really annoying. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Tito Ortiz. When he was elbowing fools to oblivion and talking smack, that was great. But now you're talking smack and losing all the time? Oh, really? Really, man? That's just what I have against Dan. I think he's doing a great job by and by. This hasn't been the best time because of all the injuries and all the miscues and everything, but he's clearly not been doing his job to account for this. And as we stand right now, what are we looking at next week? Or not next week, but next month. What is the big event? UFC 109, Coleman versus Couture. Are you kidding me? You call this a main event? You call this a fight that should even be made? And you're trying to tease a title shot with that? Are you fucking serious? That's a real talk for another day anyway. But anyway, that's just me, venting on some things that I didn't particularly care for going on right now. Like I said, it's a good product. He's a good boss, but, like I said, I wonder when Dan Henderson's going to fight next. No, I like to see Fedor. But anyway, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with watching, all the MMA you can. But however, like I said, if you're going to be the flagship MMA thing, then that money needs to come up. The talking needs to come down. I mean, it's like a lot of people criticize me. I never really cared about that because look at most other sports commissioners or owners like that. Do you really care what they have to say? No. And I don't really care what Dana has to say unless he's entertaining me. But at the same time, he shouldn't be the star of the show. The fighters are. And I want the fights made. Get on it, bro. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I'll holler back.